Okay, it has been 2 days, 1 day, 2 days since our session. It's Tuesday, so 2 days, and I'm kind of playing back through things in my mind of things that happened, and just to kind of get prepared for the next session. I think every dungeon master goes through this little stage of like, all right, what does the next D&D session, what does our next game look like? That's kind of where my brain's at right now. One thing I always do to help with that is I write a session recap and I read that at the start of the next game. That way we can, remember some of the finer details and things that are going on. And like, for instance, in our last game, like we hadn't played for 2 months. So everybody was a little like, what were we doing? Oh yeah, okay. Because everybody remembers to an extent, but it's nice to have the little reminder, because there are some little things that happened that every time I read them off, some of the guys are going, oh yeah, that did happen. Something to do as a dungeon master, new DM, new dungeon masters out there, something that's helpful, especially if your group doesn't really have many note takers. And it's good, it's important to do. So I'm working on writing my session recap. That way I have that. I'm also working on potential encounters. That was a giant wasp. As I stated previously, they are they're trying to revive the Warforged. They may or may not have got the Scroll of Resurrection. For those of you who are playing in this game, Walker, Tommy, Mackenzie, and Dave, fast forward a little bit, they do have the scroll. They got the Scroll of Resurrection. I was reading up a little bit earlier on, how does this work? How do spell scrolls work? And it's real straightforward. I mean, if it's a spell scroll, anybody who can like read it and comprehend it can use it. And so that's going to be in the next phase. But I've got a message out to Tommy saying like, hey, like, what are you thinking about Krylon? What do you like? Is there anything like about him you want to change? Any like special abilities you want to change? Just a little like personal flavor kind of thing that I like to do in games. I tend to do a lot of homebrew with certain things. Coming up with magic items that might be real strong, that might be real weak. I like to take the different abilities that you can find in the game and add things to them. A good example I did of this is the Nyxborn ability from the Mythic Odysseys of Theros. I added some things, I changed a few things with it, not enough to make it overpowered, but it kind of powered it up a little bit. It's the Blue Dragon Guild Baron version of Nyxborn is, you get Nyxborn resistance, you have resistance to necrotic and radiant damage. We have the Cloak of Stars. As an action, you wrap yourself in a starry cloak, appearing like a silhouette formed of the night sky. While you have this ability active, attack rolls have disadvantage against you. The cloak lasts for 1 minute until you doff it, no action required, or until you die. And once you use this ability, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. But we've also got the Shield of Stars, and that is not something original to the Nyxborn stuff, something that I made up. And it just mimics other abilities that are within 5th edition. Shield of Stars, while your Cloak of Stars is active, whenever an ally within 5 feet of you is hit with an attack, you can use your reaction to take half of the damage rounded up. You can do this a number of times equal to your proficiency modifier. And that's just a fun way that I kind of enhanced upon an ability. It's an ability that Krylon had. Unfortunately, it didn't help him at the time, but hey, here we are. We're bringing him back. It's things like that I like to do. I like to add to the characters to just give them a little something extra, something that's not tied to their class or not tied to a feat. I like to put it in through the story. And so I guess I need to explain how it works in my story. My D&D world is basically a love letter to all the other like fantasy worlds that I love. I've taken stuff from Theros, taken stuff from the Critical Role world, Forgotten Realms, Greyhawk, all these different places. And so I try to weave them into the story in a way that is fun for me and also, you know, fun for the guys. For Warforged in my world, as I stated in an earlier video, there's only like 10 Warforged in my world. The way I say that Warforged have come to exist is through 2 magic items. We've got the Hammer of Perforos from the Mythic Odysseys of Theros, and we've got the Luxon Beacon from Critical Role Exandria. I kind of took a little bit of lore and existing lore from those 2 things and kind of morphed it into my own thing. So essentially, the person who created the Warforged, he was trying to create the ultimate super soldier. That's nothing new with like the history and like original mythos lore behind Warforged, but he's trying to create the ultimate soldier, and he used the Hammer of Perforos and the Luxon Beacon to like focus that energy to create these and animate these automatons and bring them to life. What the person didn't know, he didn't really understand how the Luxon Beacon worked, and there's tons of videos about that, so I'll let you guys go out and find out how that kind of works. But the combination of those 2 artifacts pulled brand new souls from the Nyx. That's in my D&D world, that's where I say brand new souls, brand new in like whatever. That's where I say brand new souls come from, is the Nyx. It pulled from the Nyx into the bodies of the Warforged and made new actual beings. And that's the lore of the Warforged for my D&D world, kind of in its briefest sense. That's an example of how I've taken stuff from other D&D universes and worked it into my world. Part of me is considering doing like a live stream to kind of talk about my D&D world and the different things that I've done while creating it, but I don't, if you're interested in that kind of thing, please let me know, because I'll definitely do it. When I think about the other stuff that I need to do to get ready for encounters, get ready for different things, like I've got a ton of minis. We'll start way up here and we go down, down, down. We got all those down there. We got those guys. I got a bunch over there. And I also have a bunch of other ones that are unpainted. Getting ready for the final showdown with the creator of the Warforged. Like, I've been 3D printing a bunch of like these like boilers. I've got a bunch of forges printed up. Still need to paint those. That's just kind of a nutshell, a quick look at how I really go about like some world building, some session planning, which I showed in the last video, kind of what I do for encounters, that sort of thing. I like an in-depth game with lots of different little facets and little different things. So yeah, that's what I got for that one. I want to say thank you to the people who've been watching these hobby vlogs. The response has been good so far, and I genuinely appreciate everybody who's been watching. So if there's anything you'd like to see or hear from these vlogs, please let me know, and we will definitely jump into that. And yeah, I think that's all I got for this one. So until next time, keep the dice rolling.